Good evening and welcome to Have I Got News For You? And for those of you who've just turned over from watching Friends, where a group of young, attractive people consistently exhibit their wit and good humour, welcome to The Antidote. In the news this week, local residents in Worcester feel that Jehovah's Witnesses may be going too far. In the Gulf, there's an unfortunate reminder for one new recruit of just how dangerous missiles can be. And in Los Angeles, there's an unpleasant surprise for the studio boss who pulled the plug on Bambi 2. On Ian Hislop's team, a Scottish comedian whose greatest regret is that she once headbutted a policeman, as a knee in the groin would have caused her far less pain, Rhona Cameron. And with Paul Merton tonight, a man whose nightclub was once described on this programme as being full of drugs, guns, hookers and criminals, as a result of which he threatened to sue us on the grounds that the club didn't contain any guns. Peter Stringfellow.
Thank you.
Round one wouldn't be round one if it weren't the opening round, which it is. And if you're still watching, let's have a look at some film footage. Ian and Rhona. Seaside special for you.
This is Bournemouth Fashion Week. That's how he's going to win the election. He's going to take his jacket off.
He just smelt his finger as well. I don't know what he was doing there.
That's Michael Howard. Someone's clapping.
Who's that woman in the blue top?
Beats me.
Does she?
It didn't really hit the news very much, that conference.
Well, it was a conference anyway.
It was. That was the Tory party conference,
yes.
Angus.
Mm.
And they unveiled their new way of winning the election.
They unveiled it.
Well, you can't export beef, you've got to unveil it.
I'm very impressed with Brian Mawhinney. I think he's wonderful, you know. Part of his speech this week, the main part, was that Margaret Thatcher isn't Tony Blair. And people clapped, you know, as if this was a new thought. Bugs Bunny isn't Archimedes.
But at a Tory party conference, you've got to work quite hard not to get a round of applause.
Yeah.
I was watching the audience and someone says, we've got to get out of Europe. Next speaker, we've got to stay in Europe. Hello.
But it's very good that he's wearing these jumpers now, because he's got this sort of Val Doonican look about him, isn't it?
Why does that appeal to you, Paul?
Please don't ask.
Well, he already has, so it's too late.
Yes, sadly.
Please don't answer.
Yes, that might have made sense.
That one made sense. No, please
Yeah.
don't ask.
No, because it was too late. Yeah, he'd already asked.
It's like Chamberlain saying to Hitler, don't do that. It's too late.
Right, well, I think you got the points there, didn't
Thank
you?
you.
That was a tough
Yes,
one.
it was. Perhaps the biggest surprise of the conference was when Margaret Thatcher embraced John Major in front of the cameras. People were even more surprised when she kissed him, but when she rode on his back and started hitting him with a pillow, they began to smell a rat. Paul and Peter, who's being framed here?
Oh, this is Princess Diana entering the 3:30 at Newmarket. That's the look-alike for the patio doors.
It could be worse.
I don't know who that is. Don't know who that is at all.
This is definitely Richard and Judy.
Sorry, but if that was Rich and Judy, then Rich would be on Judy's back, I think. Because he's the one clearly in control here.
But did anyone here believe it was true? Really? I
On the
mean,
day?
I did. I did. I thought it was real.
I didn't really care.
No, neither did I, but we thought it was real, right?
There were quite a few clues to suggest that it wasn't.
I thought the patio doors was a bit of a giveaway. Wasn't there the director's hand was actually in shot?
Yes, that was another.
It's a bit of a giveaway.
She was wearing the wrong brand of trainers, apparently, and she was reading a book. Which, Have you met Di?
Yes, definitely. When I owned the Hippodrome, she popped in. Lovely.
Really
2
looking
years
for
from-
sort of garage
When she was
owners or-
still Her Royal Highness and all that kind of stuff.
Is it true that you said, can I call you something other than Princess? And she
Absolutely.
said no.
After about 3 vodkas and 2 bottles of wine, she said, no, stick to Princess Stringfellow. I actually said to her,
Stringfellow?
can I have a... Yes, because, you know...
You said Mr. Stringfellow to you, mate.
Princess Stringfellow.
Didn't you try to sue somebody for the oven chips called Stringfellows?
Yes, I did. Well, that was in my Pomper series. You'll notice I'm not like that now. No,
The bloke next door had to me exactly the same problem. Mr. Crispy Cod in Batter.
It is the Sun exclusive that turned out to be the most elaborate hoax of the decade when an 80-second video that came into their possession of Princess Di frolicking with James Hewitt turned out to be a spoof. The Princess Di lookalike, who was used for the video, Christina Hans, said that when she saw her pictures in the Sun, she burst into tears and felt sick. God, she's very good, isn't she? The wobbly footage... that's a reference to the video, not to James Hewitt, was shot for a few £100 in the back garden of someone's house using a home video camera and is now being shown on live TV as part of their prestigious new season of quality drama. Of course, it's not the first time that the British public have been duped by an elaborate royal hoax. There is, of course, that famous 1981 footage of Charles and Di making their wedding vows. Ian and Rhona. Question of sport for you.
That's my country, that's Scotland, and they're playing no one, which is the only way they can win a game. And
it's an ideal game of football, as far as I was concerned. Lasted 3 seconds.
I know Scotland won 3-0 because there was no opponents. I think they were in some country near Estonia. Estonia, that's right. And they didn't like the lighting because they thought it was a bit dark, and so they wanted to play in the afternoon. But Estonia didn't make it because they were up the road on the motorway in a harvester. And so Scotland, basically all they had to do was kick the ball, and they won 3-0.
I think they should have scored an own goal first to make a game of it. Although being Scotland, you know...
Yeah, I wouldn't have put it past them, actually, to be honest. And what happened afterwards? Did you see... What were the pictures depicting?
Did the Scottish fans go on the rampage and beat up imaginary Estonians?
Yes. This is the Estonia versus Scotland World Cup qualifier, which was abandoned by the referee after only 3 seconds. Scotland got off to a bright start, although Alan McCoist was starting to flag a bit by the third second, and Colin Hendry managed to pick up a rather unnecessary yellow card.
What was that bit in the middle of what you just said?
It went... in a rather strange editorial... I've done it again.
Has this become a co-production with Venus or something?
In a rather strange editorial decision, Grampian Television decided to go ahead and show highlights of the game. Followed later that night by a shorter programme showing the whole match. For his part, the Estonian manager said it was outrageous to expect them to change their schedule at such short notice, and that the ground was not as dark as FIFA were suggesting, as he was talking to one of the goalposts at the time. And finally, Paul and Peter. A number of elements to this one.
This is Iceland. There's this bloke's left this tap running, and it's... that's the Turin Shroud in book form. And the sheep have got to get away. It's this thing... this geezer's gone up.
Do you know the name of it?
They call the geezer Vic. Actually, he comes to the club. I know him very well. And the point is, of course, what you don't understand is that the Icelandic people will never recognise or know this at all. They won't know it's happening because they're great drinkers. Believe me. And as far as the sheep are concerned, they're probably going to the club anyway.
So they're drugs, hookers and sheep in your club?
Ian, you have to make an appointment for that.
You are making it sound attractive, Peter.
Well, you could get 3 in 1 if the sheep are on drugs and are also hookers.
It's called Loki, isn't it? Or Loki.
What is?
The volcano.
Oh, right.
That's a god from mythology, isn't it?
I think that's why they've called it him.
It's actually called Vatna. But,
I think you'll find the glacier's called Vatna, because they hadn't named the volcano.
Well, you probably know him, Peter. Does he come down the club?
Yes. Brings the sheep with him and everything. It's great night.
So it's definitely Locky then.
And it's melting the ice, so there isn't
right.
any ice. And it's creating a huge flood. Because usually you don't get volcanoes under ice.
Isn't this our question, Paul?
No, it's all right. Let him speak. It gives him a chance to appear on the
sorry.
programme.
The sheep do have some relevance, in fact.
They do, indeed.
Yes. It is, in fact, a government warning to all the farmers to bring the sheep indoors. That's why they're there.
Oh yeah, any excuse.
I bet there's no flood at all. Just getting ready for Christmas.
Do you know how often there's a major tremor? You seem to know a lot about this, Ian.
17 years.
25 minutes.
No, it's 100 years. And when was the last one?
Oh. Nope, I didn't get my metalwork O-level.
1896.
You're kidding, Angus.
Yes.
Is that you getting in touch with the Venusians?
My mate Lockie. It is the eruption of the Bardabunga volcano, bringing with it the threat of a flood which could cover almost a tenth of the island's surface area and would almost certainly result in the death and destruction of nearly 17 cormorants. As the Arctic winter closes in, experts have warned that the flood could happen at any time of the night or night. All of which Arctic Waste reveals that at the end of that round, well, both teams are cutting equal amounts of mustard, being as it is for all. Round 2, so often strange and exotic, this week's returns to the familiar, if manure-sodden pastures of tabloid journalism. 2 cryptic headlines, which tales do they tell? Paul and Peter. Teed off by golf snobs.
It's about a young boy, 13 years old, is adopted and they won't let him play with one of his parents. Is that right? Well, I think that's a pretty good... Because of his blood group. His blood group's going to be wrong. Because he's adopted.
Right.
And because the golfers hit each other over the head with the clubs all the time and lose lots of blood. So it's better to have somebody who's got the same blood if you're playing with them.
Right.
That's it, isn't it?
You've watched a lot of golf, have you?
I'll be getting a plug in for my club while we're on about clubs.
I've been to your club, it's shit.
You a golfer?
No, I used to. I'm not. I used to caddy from my father when I was a little girl, and
That's as far as it went.
that's fascinating, really, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing funny happened, and nothing fun to say about it now. But that's golf.
Yeah.
To make golf more interesting, they should combine it. They should combine the golf with crazy golf. So you knock the ball 300 yards down the fairway, then you've got to knock it round through the clown's mouth to make the windmill go round.
It could happen. Might happen one day.
There'd be uproar.
Yes, this is the story of 13-year-old Brazilian-born Laurie Briggs, who was banned by a Surrey golf club for playing in a family tournament because one club member from Weybridge wrote in to complain that Laurie was adopted. That's Burr Hill Golf Club, who obviously have a blanket ban on adopted children, but are happy to accommodate bastards of all ages. One member of the club said it was an outrage. Laurie should never have been barred for being adopted when they could so easily have excluded him on the grounds of being foreign. Ian and Rhona. Bacon frying, vicar trying, choir retiring.
Well, it's a church story about...
Well spotted, Ian.
It's a good C of E story about a vicar trying to introduce a new hymn and the choir not wanting to sing it on the grounds that the hymn's called Autumn Days. And it's one of those modern C of E hymns. And the first verse celebrates jet engines refuelling overhead.
Yes, did you cover this in your major documentary series?
I didn't, but then it's
Right.
finished, Angus.
Ah,
Finished last week.
damn.
What's the bacon? What's the bacon?
It's all in the lyrics of the hymn, and that's about it, really.
No,
Yeah.
it's not. You can't give them full points for that. They missed out the major point.
Which is?
What, the
Which
vicar
is
comes
that-
down your club?
They changed.
Yes.
Which is that, in actual fact, they're changing the lyrics to attract children. See, I know these things.
Yeah.
Listen, I read my papers every day. I didn't like this.
Lie,
No
you said
Stringfellow,
to
no
me in the
Stringfellow, no
dressing room you've
Stringfellow.
only read them for the last 3 days ever in your life.
The choir of St Mary's in Wroxham wanted to go back to good old-fashioned hymns with words that make sense to children, such as "do but themselves confound his strength the more is."
Just because you can't understand it, Angus.
Would you like to explain?
Yeah, read it out again from the autocue.
Do but themselves confound his strength the more is.
People who protest do
Right.
only confound themselves, i.e. make it more difficult for themselves, and therefore make God's strength the stronger.
You should have a point for that, really, shouldn't
Yeah.
we?
And when
I
was
think-
this a hit record?
Last year, Val Doonican did it.
Apparently the choir felt uncomfortable singing songs with lyrics like "Autumn days, when the grass is jewel-led, jet planes meeting in the air to be refuel-led." But the last straw was when they had to open Evensong with Champagne Supernova.
In the summer, when the grass is aglow,
Yes.
here comes a plane landing at Heathrow.
Oh, you should get a point for that one. That was good.
Yes, that's a lovely thought, thank you. Which,
Here comes a man, he's got a suit on, here comes a plane, it's landing at Luton.
Do Stansfield.
I've never heard of it. Stansted, I know.
which chorus of disapproval heralds the end of this unholy row, and the overall score is ominously close to the sign of the devil, being as it is 6-6. It's with great pleasure that we arrive at the end of the show, and in 10 minutes or so we shall. So let's kill some time with our odd one out round. Paul, your prehistoric men are a prehistoric man, Kenneth Clark, Sir Teddy Taylor, and Woody Allen.
One of the things I know about Kenneth Clark is that when he was on Desert Island Discs, he picked 8 records by jazz saxophonists. So that might be a connection with Woody Allen, who, as we know, plays the clarinet there. Teddy Taylor, does he play the oboe? Or is he happily married? So I'd say that somehow they've found that this prehistoric man used to play a musical instrument. They found a pipe or something in some ruin. So I'd say that they all play some sort of musical instrument apart from Teddy Taylor.
Is irritatingly the right answer.
What instrument did he play then?
Yeah.
Prehistoric man, well, they sort of found instruments which they reckoned played jazz in prehistoric time in caves.
They found musical instruments that they reckoned played jazz
Yes,
in prehistoric
jazz.
times.
They were sort of jazz intervals on them, yeah.
Oh.
Curious.
What does that exactly mean, a jazz interval?
It's the bit you enjoy where they're not playing.
Peter, your literary heavyweights are Georges Simenon,
Oh, wow.
Casanova, Shane Ritchie, and the Right Reverend Roderick Wright.
There's obviously one connection here, and it's sex, isn't it? So let's be fair. Richie reckons he's been with 200 women. The guy at the top
And
there...
that's just doing the Daz doorstep challenge.
The guy at the top left is legendary for a couple of thousand, which puts me in my league. The bottom guy here is in single figures. He's into 2. And the other guy's dead, so he's got to be the one. He's got to be the odd man out, right? Casanova's dead.
Well, I think you're in the right area. I suspect probably the bishop's the odd one out, though.
Oh, what do you think? But there's in multiple numbers, and he's in singular numbers, right?
I think that's probably it.
Yes, I mean, you're in the right... Well, I say you're in the right area, you have actually got the right answer. Well done.
You've got a girlfriend at the moment.
got it right.
You've got a girlfriend at the moment?
Yes, I have a girlfriend at the moment.
How old's she?
Mind your own bloody business.
I heard she was 16.
That's an ouch. That was last week. She's 17 now.
17?
Yeah.
Your haircut's older than that.
I'm not crossing
When
the swords with
I
you.
was 17, I couldn't get a 17-year-old girl for love or money. I don't know how you do it.
I think it's the latter of the 2 options you mentioned.
You should do the next Joy of Sex manual or something like that. But you have to dye your hair black and have a beard.
I have done, but somebody burnt all my Polaroids, so I've got to start again, you know?
Nice image. The answer is that all of them have slept with 1,000 women, except Roderick Wright, of course, who, being a bishop, has slept with barely half that number. Writer Georges Simenon was a sexual obsessive and would frequently walk the back streets of Paris picking up women of the night. Sometimes his experiences emerge in his Maigret novels, especially the gripping Maigret Visits the Clap Clinic Again. Rhona, your movers and shakers are King Hussein of Jordan.
Don't know anything about him.
Cecil Parkinson. No? Martin Clunes. And Michael Flatley of Riverdance fame.
But maybe it's River. Yeah, oh no, maybe I'd like to. Maybe river. I don't know. There's a river.
Yeah? No, it's good so far.
Cecil's got a hand helmet, hasn't he?
The River Jordan, the River Parkinson.
No, that's it. Maybe Michael Flattery is the odd one because he's the only one that would knowingly wear clogs.
Is Cecil Parkinson the only one who's balancing on a rhino horn?
Maybe the guy at the top left's a transvestite or something.
No.
Are we talking about King Hussein of Jordan here?
Oh, is that
He's the only one who's had a Karamak bar fall out of his ear.
right? Is he?
You never really got the hang of this game, did you?
No, this is a very difficult one. This is difficult. I don't know.
Oh, I know. We don't know, Angus.
Well, I'll have to put you all out of your misery then in that case. The answer is that they have all been to see Riverdance more than once, except its former star Michael Flatley, who has not been to see it at all, especially since he was sacked the night before its second London run opened. Irish dancer Michael Flatley has his legs insured for $25 million, so all he has to do is wander into the Falls Road and shout "Bugger Jerry Adams," and two masked men with baseball bats will make him a multimillionaire overnight. Cecil Parkinson has apparently taken his wife to see Riverdance 8 times. He's obviously trying to make up to her for something. King Hussein of Jordan, the 9th richest man in the world, went to see Riverdance twice in the West End, and after paying for 2 front-row tickets, a programme, and a warm can of Coke in the interval, he's now the 28th richest man in the world. Martin Clunes has seen Riverdance 3 times. The star of Men Behaving Badly was transfixed by the fusion of ancient Irish dance with modern tap and ballet set to the pulsating rhythm of contemporary Celtic rock music, and apparently there was some really nice totty in it as well. And finally in this round, Ian, your famous 4 are Bill Clinton, Prince Andrew, Fergie, and Roger Moore.
What?
None of them ever inhaled.
Sorry, but from these pictures, Fergie's the only one that looks like Fergie. They don't look like themselves, the other 3.
Oh, it's a hoax?
Yes,
It's a lookalike
they're
question.
imaginary.
See, they all... I mean, that's clearly not Bill Clinton, that's clearly not Roger Moore, that's clearly not Prince Andrew. That kind of doesn't look like Fergie either. So is it that the 3 of them are lookalikes and that the Prince Andrew one's a waxwork?
It's pretty near, but I think Ian was the closest when he said it's a hoax.
Yeah.
It is an entire hoax, odd one out question, as they're all lookalikes. Although we have already sold that answer to The Sun for an undisclosed 6 figure. Which serious fraud marks the end of our odd one out round, and the current crisis surrounds Ian and Rhona, who have but 8, to Paul and Peter's quietly superior 10. So with 1 round left and just 2 points in it, the question, as ever, is why no one really seems to care. The eponymously titled Missing Words round is literally upon us, and this week's guest publication is none other than the latest edition of Seafood International, the world's leading international seafood magazine, so don't settle for less. Eyes down for Japan and China join in what venture?
Dolphin burger venture.
Crabstick.
Yes, I heard
Whale
you first time, it's
steak.
not right.
Shrimp. King prawn.
It is from Seafood International,
Indeed.
but it is in fact a...
Halibut.
No. Fish sausage.
Fish sausage.
Is the answer. A new Japanese invention of fish in the shape of a sausage. Obviously never heard of fish fingers. Next, police use what in crime crackdown?
Fake statistics.
King prawn.
Teenage informers. Next, what still number 1 for most Germans?
Germany.
I should be so lucky.
Herring is the right answer. Next, sheep that learned what?
To say no to drugs.
How to get past the doorman at Stringfellow?
The answer is a sheep that learned to roar, reference to Geoffrey Howe and the part he played in the downfall of Mrs Thatcher. God bless him. Next, New Labour knew what?
Prawns?
You can't just keep saying prawns.
New Labour, new potato.
You can keep saying prawns, that's what we won a war for. And the right of every citizen to keep saying prawns, whether it's funny or not.
It's to do with clothing, I guess.
Trousers. Very important, trousers.
Well, I agree, obviously, but...
Jumper?
That's not the...
New
no,
jumper?
They'll get it in the end.
Hats,
Let them go
socks,
through.
underpants,
Cardigan.
trousers, shirts, waistcoats.
They still haven't got it, I can't believe it.
Shoes.
Is the right answer. Yes, a half-page article in the Times about Tony Blair having 2 pairs of shoes, one black and one brown. Next, fasting hermit is tempted by what?
Shirley Bassey. He's gone up to his cave and sung Diamonds Are Forever and he's come out. Food. Shrimp. Mushy peas.
This is not from Seafood International, I should...
Well, it could be a coincidence. It's a bluff. It could be a shrimp store they haven't picked up on.
It could be shoes this time.
It could be shoes. It's bound to be shoes.
Prawns or shoes?
I'll give you the answer. It is, in fact, lasagna. And finally, what seeks partner?
Have I got this right now? It's got nothing to do with fish, so that magazine's got nothing to do with this at all. So this could be shoes seeks partners. Or something like that.
Shoes with a very big, wide O. Yeah, well, shoes come in wider fitting, so why shouldn't they work?
Yes, special...
I know what it is.
Fisherman.
It's a Lonely Hearts thing. You know, it's one of these sex advert things that go, Di lookalike seeks partner for horseplay.
The answer I'm going to have to tell you is Peruvian
one.
scallop farmer.
Down here.
It was so obvious.
It was, in
I
fact...
just didn't think you were right. Well, you know.
It was actually in the March issue of Seafood International, presumably why you didn't get it. Which wind-assisted answers bring us sprinting towards the finishing tape, and the painful truth is that this week's cheap fakes are Ian and Rhona with 8, whilst this week's genuine articles are Paul and Peter with 11. So, no prize this week to our winners. A copy of Val Dunican's latest video to our losers.
Oh, you can tape it off.
Oh, thank you.
It's time then for us all to leave.
He's very happy with that. Look, what is it?
Oh, it's got try to remember on it.
Try to remember.
September.
Is that it? Yeah. I'm sure you can give it back to Paul at the end of the show, and we'll get a Julie Andrews one for you next week.
Thank you.
I don't like Julie Andrews. I've gone off her. You can shove that tape up your arse. Unless, of course, you got Betamax.
Thank you very much, on which delightful note we say thank you to our panellists, Ian Hislop and Rhona Cameron, Paul Merton and Peter Stringfellow. And I leave you with news that at the Tory conference there's a feeling that John Redwood may be working too hard to attract the female vote. As fighting continues in Afghanistan, new signs go up warning civilians of the dangers of low-flying helicopters. And at London Zoo, there are fears that a rare kestrel reared exclusively on beans is proving unpopular with his cage mates. Good night.